Welcome back to Safa's Unscripted, episode 113, round 2 of the Rugby Championship inbound. Brett, joining us once again. How are you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I feel like a guest on this show now. Since the last time I didn't know I didn't have signal. Well, I didn't know there wasn't Wi-Fi. So I just never thought we'd doing this. So my bad.
Yeah. Brevan, how are you doing, brother?
All good. Excited. As much as we question that team, I think it's time to get over that, and it's time to get excited, and it's time to see what they can do. So yeah, I'm excited to chat about what they can do.
Yeah, before we get into the fixtures and what our thoughts and predictions are, please do remember to like and subscribe. We do say it every episode. We thoroughly appreciate you guys. We love seeing the different opinions, even some fights in the comment sections at times. It's always a joy to listen, a joy to read. Anyway, Brett, I don't know if you saw the previous episode, but myself and Brevan spoke about the team selection, and obviously you weren't on that episode. Will you just give us your quick thoughts on it? Do you actually rate that we did the 10 changes? Do you find it a bit disrespectful towards the Wallabies, or what's your thoughts and opinion on it?
I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it's I don't know if disrespectful is the right word. I just think that if we're making this whole statement about in between World Cup, South Africa's record is quite poor, why would you not want to keep that record going? Yes, I understand that you need to blood the young players, but this is the year right after the World Cup. The people that got selected, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to be able to do the job. That's just how I feel, and I feel like it's a slap in the spectator's face.
Yeah,
I hope I'm completely wrong. I want to be wrong on this one, but yeah, I'm not feeling that team at all.
Yeah. So what myself and Brevan spoke about is like kind of we don't have doubts that this team will be good enough to get it done against the Wallabies. We'll go into depth with it as soon as we get there, because I want to speak about New Zealand, Argentina first. We don't have doubts that they'll get it done. But my perspective on it was just like, I don't see the point in it if you don't play boys that are going to play together. You get what I mean? That was my perspective on it. I do still believe it's an exciting team. Like, I don't have an issue seeing our front row there, but I would have liked to have seen maybe either Johan Grobler playing or Jan-Hendrik Wessels with the other two that usually start for in case there's an injury or something like that. That was just my perspective on it. Obviously got a ton of backlash on it because we just follow Rassie with blind faith these days. Like, obviously we love and adore Rassie. We couldn't be more appreciative of it, but like at some points you're allowed to your opinion to question some things. Anyway, Brevan, did you want to add something before we actually start with the point of this video?
No, I think we've literally covered it in the last episode. I mean, as you said, we questioned it, but at the same time, it's now there's no point, you know. Like you say, you know, we fans, like, we can't just sit here and not give our opinion, you know. I mean, what's the point there, you know? So yeah, so
you can't just follow with blind faith. It's ridiculous. Like, seriously. Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to business. First and foremost, did you guys see the Rugby Championship official page? They actually did a better job this time. The Springbok logo is not in turquoise; it's actually in green. And then also they gave us 2 emojis after the Rugby Championship round. I don't know what this whole thing about this all stuck together and this open spaces on the outside is all about. It's ridiculous, but it's progress. Hopefully they don't post the result 4 hours after the result, but you know.
Yeah, I unfollowed that page. I think I think it's either a very, very old person that's running the page, or it's somebody that thinks they know social media and is trying to run the page, lied in his CV or his resume or whatever you want to call it, and he's not doing a good job. So I actually unfollowed that page. It looks super unprofessional.
Yeah. I actually spoke to someone today and I was like, well, you know, the vibes of it is kind of like an old grandma or grandpa going to like their
Yes.
young boy and saying, "Look what I created. Did you know
Yes.
you can put rugby balls after something?" Like, I mean, it's just claustrophobic, the whole thing. It's embarrassing. Like, I think if you had absolutely no skills, you could have that looks like something that's been screenshotted off Google and they've just posted a couple of pictures in a square. It's ridiculous. Anyway, first game up, New Zealand versus Argentina. Brevin, we'll go to you first. Do you see revenge at Eden Park on the horizon?
Well, first, I just want to point something out, right? Now, I understand Rico Ioane is Rico Ioane. I get it. But at the same time, how harsh on Anton Leonard-Brown to drop the guy when he's your best player? You know?
Yeah.
It's harsh. It's really harsh. But at the same time, I look at that backline and it's a better backline. I mean, I think it has still Damien at 10. I'm not a fan. I mean, I'll keep saying this. And still Bowden at 15. Not a fan. I'll keep saying that as well. But other than that, you know, obviously Jordy Barrett at 12, Rico Ioane 13, and then you have Will Jordan and Caleb Clark, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know what? It's a good side. But at the same time, I can't sit here with full confidence yet and say that All Black side is the real deal. There's still so much to prove. And they're going to have to go out there and have a statement victory for me to be like, okay, they're coming here with like a lot of vengeance, you know? So we'll have to see how they perform.
Brett?
Yeah, so I had to change my whole first bit of what I wanted to say because Brevin said it word for word. Also, in our previous episode that I was there, I said Anton Leonard-Brown is not good enough. Then he goes and becomes their best player against Argentina in a loss. Then they go and drop the guy. But knowing how rugby heritage works, that's how New Zealand wins their games, is when they select the people that nobody thinks should be there. So also Damon McKenzie at 10, not the answer. And I think that Will Jordan starting is going to cost them because he's going up against one of the most hot topics in world rugby currently. So I think that hot stepper is he's gonna keep Will Jordan very.
That career is a proper player.
Exactly. Yeah. So other than that, I do like that Sam Cane has been drafted into the Matchday 23. I think he's there for stability, leadership stability. I think there's too many hotheads in that team at the moment. So, yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, fair enough. I do agree on the Sam Cane thing. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in this game we see Bowden move to 10, Will Jordan goes to 15, and Mark Telea goes onto the wing, partnering either Caleb Clark or whoever, right? I can't remember. Well, Caleb Clark and Mark Telea with Will Jordan at fullback. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Obviously, Scott Robertson has played Will Jordan at fullback the whole time while he was at the Crusaders as well. So yeah, but the main talking point, obviously, Brett, you just brought it up. Like, I can't understand why Anton Leonard-Brown's not playing in that 13. And if you're not going to play him at 13 after you had probably a man of the match performance from an All Black perspective, why don't you pick your best 13? Why don't you pick Billy Proctor? Like, why is that guy not playing? I still don't get it. I will stay on this point with Rico Ioane is a wing playing on the outside center. It just doesn't make sense. You can't have, because Will Jordan, like, as good as people say he's at fullback, he's a better wing than he's a fullback. So you're playing with 3 wings to start with. You've got a wing on the bench and you've got a wing at outside center. Like, I understand you have a talent pool of wings, but where's the creativity coming from? Is Damien McKenzie going to be like the main guy in terms of doing all creative work for them as that first receiver? It just doesn't make sense to me. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't know. I think Brevin looks like he's
ready.
No,
it's just, you've got it spot on, you know. And something else that I feel like New Zealand are kind of just lacking at the moment. Well, not lacking. I think they're missing this specific player is Scott Barrett. I think they missed him in the last game, and they're going to miss him again this week. I personally think he's just he's like a Eben for us, he just grafts, he does dirty work, he's important, his leadership, and, the actual All Black captain, not having him there, it's tough, so they do miss him. So
especially at the breakdown, when you have three players that are so disruptive at the breakdown in terms of Pablo Matera, Marcos Kremer, and Juan Martin Gonzalez, you need that guy to just disrupt everything like Scott Barrett does. And it just feels like New Zealand doesn't have that at the moment. If we look forward to this game, obviously we know the record at Eden Park. It's probably the most prestigious record in terms of winning records in rugby. Does Argentina have a chance, right? Because it's kind of weird with their performance of last weekend. We know how inconsistent they could be, but we also know how good Contempomi is. But then also we know, well, the All Blacks aren't that great at the moment, but they've got this record. Doesn't matter how bad they've been in the past, they never lose there. Brivan?
Personally, look, the way I look at it is records are records, cool, that's all good, right? But records are meant to be broken, right? So you cannot count out this Argentinian side. And this is a different story. Like, we saw England come super close, right? Now, if Argentina can follow up last week with a similar performance, the All Blacks have some proper grafting to do, because I still think the All Blacks will win, but I don't see it being a 50-odd 3 game. I personally think it will be very close. And if the All Blacks are not switched on, it could be another long day for them. So, yeah, that's just what I'll say on the topic.
Brett?
I'm going to be that guy again. I feel that the All Black side is a weakened side to last week. Talia not starting, Will Jordan starting. I think it's going to be the upset of the century. I honestly do believe that Argentina is going to win this game. The fact that they don't have a good captain on the field, New Zealand, for that matter, it's a concern. The fact that they don't seem to be hungry, and the players really haven't bought into the Scott Robinson picture. So I think that a very passionate side, obviously New Zealand's going to be very motivated that they're playing at Eden Park, and that does lift them by, say, 20%. But it's also going to lift this Argentinian side. Like, imagine we can go make proper history now. Yes, last week we won. Let's not show the world that was a fluke. And my gut says to me that Argentina is going to win. If it may be by 1 or 2, I still feel Argentina is winning this game.
Yeah, well, if that stadium isn't packed out, then it's kind of the same as last weekend. It just gives the Argentinians so much more incentive to actually go out. Like, there's no threat with the crowd and the atmosphere being hostile and kind of lifting up the All Blacks. Like, to dig deep when you have nothing going for you and you don't have the crowd, that is tough. I think it's almost more tough to lift yourself when you don't have your home crowd backing you at the moment. Like, I actually saw an image of someone that said, Razor Robertson, when he coaches the Crusaders, and it's like a still of him breakdancing. And then I saw Razor Robertson coaching the All Blacks, and it's a still of that ray gun from the Olympics. Totally cracked me up. But do we believe at some point, surely something clicks for this All Blacks team? Like, isn't this weekend like the weekend that it finally clicks for them?
It has to click this weekend. Let's just say that. It has to click this weekend.
Yes, you couldn't have said that better. It has to click. But when we spoke about this pre-World Cup, when they announced that Scott Robinson is going to be captain, we can go back in the episodes. I said this, he's not going to be a good international coach because he's going to try his fancy shit that he did at the Crusaders, playing against a bunch of nobodies, and he's going to think that's going to work in international rugby. And so far, I'm right. At this point, I'm right. Like I said in the last episode, I hope I'm proven wrong, but so far, I'm right.
Yeah, you don't want to go with 2 losses against Argentina and then travel down south to South Africa. Like, I mean, that's tough. That's tough. If they lose against Argentina, right, and they have a tough tour to South Africa, do they lose the Bledisloe?
No.
We'll talk about that when we get
Could never go that low, bro, man.
Australia
we
are
get-
absolute wank. Sorry for that word, but yeah, they are terrible. Sorry. I mean, we'll get on to Australia now, but cheapers, no. If they lose the Bledisloe Cup, there's a problem, and Scott needs to go if he does lose the
Immediately.
Bledisloe Cup. I'm not even joking, but yeah, we'll leave
Do you
it at
know the fact that New Zealand lost to Argentina, right? Even though it was a great Argentina performance, we've been reffing up this English team. You know how much that takes away from their performances? Because all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, you couldn't even beat
You know what
the
was
New
so
Zealand
funny,
team
right?
even before they had all the chemistry. And you guys have been training so hard. And I'm like, I've given England a lot of credit, but all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, you just shit.
So obviously I've spoken about my mates a few times, but obviously he's English, and he messages me and he's like, "Flip, does this mean we just terrible?" So I'm just like, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
classic.
Anyway, let's quickly move on to Argentina.
10% battery.
10% battery. Okay, well, looks like Brett's going to leave us halfway through the episode. We'll wrap up Argentina quickly and then move on to South Africa so he can get his talking points in. What do you want to see if you're an Argentinian coach or even fan? What would your expectations be going into this game? Where do you make it dirty? How do you win this game?
Confidence, confidence, confidence. No pressure. You're expected to lose because you're at Eden Park. Just confidence, confidence, confidence. Have fun and rub it in their faces.
No, fair enough. Brevan?
It's just passion. I mean, your defense, and just trust your structures that you've been put. Your structures worked last week. That means they'll work again. So just trust your structures and defend like you did last week. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, they just needed to have the total opposite performance as they had the previous time after they beat the All Blacks. I think they kind of just ripped the All Blacks off and said, okay, we can do it. We should be doing this now. Same performance, same energy, same confidence, as you said, but not arrogance in terms of that. Just make that game ugly. Just play your game. Force them to play your game. If you can, stay away from the physicality in terms of the scrum for the first half once again. Absolutely drain them out, and then you just unleash once again and kick your penalties, basically. Anyway, Brett, I'll come straight to you. We're playing in Perth. Talk to me. I'll just give you the floor. I wouldn't even ask you a question. What are you looking forward to in this match?
I'm looking forward to everybody actually putting their hand up and showing why they're actually in the South African side. I'm very nervous about a Apulela Fassi because if Korobetti has to break through, Fassi's missing that tackle. Unfortunately, that's just what he does. So I'm very nervous about the back. I am very nervous about Am playing 12. 12 and 13 is not the same position. It's like playing hooker and prop. It's not the same thing. So there I'm quite nervous, but I am confident in our bench because Moni Lebok and Henry Pollard's going to come on together, 10 and 12. And Pollard's going to be the kicker. No pressure on Mani, and we're going to see some Mani magic. And we might actually see Pollard in a 12 jersey later this year. Like, if you think about it. I'm very nervous about... Yeah, starting. I'm very nervous about Salman Murat being captain. We've said this a million times. He's a good player. There's nothing wrong with his gameplay, but he's not a good captain. His decision making's poor. He's too soft. Makes wrong decisions. So yeah, there I'm a bit nervous, and I don't think our pack intensity is going to be as high as we want it to be, as we know it can be. So
do you think we're overlooking the Wallabies a bit,
yeah.
or do you think the players will be up for it?
They'll be up for it. Obviously, they'll be up for it because they want to be in that jersey forever. But they're going against the experienced Australian side, and yeah, with Nick White being back in the team, he's just irritating. He makes penalties for Australia. Well, against the team that they play against. So it's going to be tough playing against him and trying to focus on your own game while you're not having a lot of test caps behind your back. Like Morley van der Berg is going to have it's going to be daunting for him. But yeah, I'm very positive that we could still scrape through with a very narrow win. But I'm also in the same breath not very confident. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, since the team was announced on Tuesday, you know, obviously when we first saw it, it's a shock, you know, you're like, whoa, okay, you know, you kind of like trying to understand what's going on. And don't get me wrong, I think all three of us are on the same page where it's okay to make changes, but at the same time, you kind of want, like you said, combinations. So Johan Grobler starts with Ox and Malherbe. Yeah, so you kind of, or Tom or whatever. So you kind of want to create, there's still some kind of chemistry, but like when you change the whole front row, it's like there's no chemistry. So obviously that's always a bit of a concern. But I mean, obviously, I'm going to be that positive guy, right? So it's a big week in Perth. I mean, there's some massive South African stuff happening in Perth. You know, obviously the Box playing against Australia, and then just by chance we play the same, or we play the same weekend that our beloved Drickus du Plessis fights on the Saturday as well. So on the Sunday, sorry. And it's just like it's written in the stars, you know. You know, obviously Box might go and support him there. Apparently, a walkout from Sia and Irvin. I mean, I'm just going to be positive. It's written in the stars. I hope the Box can just perform. And you know what? Being positive, I think they will. It's going to be tough. Oh, don't bring that up, man. Positive energy. But yeah, I just think these guys have to perform, because I said this team was chosen because it's now you perform in a big game, because we want to win the rugby championship, and if you can't perform, this could be your last game, you know. So this is what I said, you know. It could be a Rassie saying, show me what you got, show me what you can offer to this team, and if you can't offer anything, unfortunately there's the door. So I'm hoping that's the case, and like Brett said, like Murat at captain, and his phone just died. Oh, is he back? He's back.
I'm not sure.
But like Brett said, Murat is just he has good game. If personally, I think Murat is a 5, right? I think he's more of a 5 lock than he is a 4 lock. And the reason that I say that is because he's not physical like a 4 lock, in my opinion. And like you said, he does like the tip-offs and stuff, you know, and that's more of a 5 lock type of thing, you know, creating and stuff. So
if you're Auction Chair likes that as well.
Or if you're any Springbok player for that matter, you can do that. But yeah, I mean, just be positive. I hope the backline fires, because I think that's a big part of our game. Looking at the backline that we've chosen, it's a big part of the game. I hope they can fire and attack and break lines and create.
Well, Bevan, I actually think Lukhanyo Am is going to have a great game. Like, obviously, we spoke about it in terms of like he's not going to offer you what Damian de Linde offers you in terms of his physicality, taking that ball, bashing it up, taking 2 or 3 defenders with him. But in terms of creativity, we've seen what he can do, right? Like, obviously he's always played with Damian on his inside, but I'm sure he'll offer something out there on inside center. When he comes out and he says he's hungry, we know when Lukhanyo Am's at the races, there's not many better than him. Like, he can do a lot. The issue that I have a bit is the backline's physicality. Obviously, with Damian de Linde gone, he takes so much physicality with him. I just feel like who's going to be our guy that really runs into some guys? Are we just going to have forwards everywhere just to take that ball up? Because there's a lot of creativity, but yeah, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, but doesn't what Brevin said stress you out a little bit about when players get instruction that this might be your last test if you don't perform? Then it becomes like a trials match, and you know how shit goes south when players have that many.
I'm a bit scared that this ends up being like that Wales test.
Yes,
where
but
we made it a lot tighter than it.
Yeah, this is a similar team that we selected against Portugal, and look what terrible mistakes we made against Portugal. I mean, let in very easy tries. That I'm concerned with that it becomes like a trial match, like 4-on-1 overlap, and player says, "I want the glory because I need to score in a box jersey."
Very fair point. Very, very fair point.
That's what.
I haven't even thought about that. Yeah. Yeah, very fair point. I didn't even think about that alone, and I had a lot of issues with this team. Hopefully they just realize, listen, just do the basics. We get a victory. It looks a lot better on my name than me scoring 2 tries, but in a losing cause, losing to this Wallabies team. The big issue for me will always be letting in soft tries. I hate seeing soft tries go in. This team did it against Wales and they did it against Portugal. You cannot do this once again. Okay, so at least we know Jesse Krill and both lethal on the fence. I wonder if at some point we'll even see an interchange between those two, where goes to outside center or Krill goes to inside center if it doesn't work out that well. I would also actually like to see Fussy go off for Marnie. Marnie goes into the 10 without Andre in that 12 jersey just yet, to just see how that backline flows, because it's obviously going to be a bit more flowing running rugby without Pollard being there as that inside center.
No, that can happen in the first 5 minutes. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. But you know what? I think what's important here is that this team that starts is able to keep the game. Well, hopefully they can run. I don't think they'll run away with it. I think it will be a tighter game because of the inexperience. But I think this team has to keep it within 50 minutes. They have to be within 5 points, keep it really close. And the reason I say that is if we bring on that bench and the game's close, I think we win the game. Because if the Australians, however, are leading by 14 odd, a bit more, because that's a possibility, then it becomes a bit of a worry because that's a lot to catch up, So
I think our bench guarantees us 12 points above what Australia can put on.
Also, let me just add that this is going to be the biggest test for Sasha in his career. If he can make this work, then his name's carved in stone. I can't see anything changing going forward if he makes this work.
If Marnie plays brilliantly with Pollard on his inside, how often do you guys think we see this?
No, please don't.
Well, we might see that against Argentina.
That's fine. But then again, if you look at that Argentina side, do you underestimate them and try new things? But we'll see.
No, because Argentina's strength is not in their backline. So that's why you can a bit. They are brutal up front. So we'll have our strongest pack giving us go forward ball, but a bit more experimental in the backs. And I think that if Pollard can start at 12 with Marnie at 10 doing his magic, I think that, and then I'd put Am at 13 because he breaks the line a bit better for me than Jesse Kriel. So that space will, I think our backline could fire very well with Marnie at 10 and Pollard at 12.
Yep. Well,
and Am at 13.
The way that we have our team now, I would really not mind not even seeing Andre and just going Sasha at fullback and Marnie at 10 if you really want to, with Damien Dillon at inside center, Lukanya I'm at outside center. Brilliant. I mean, no issues there. You give Sasha the kicking duties and they can do that into the changing of first receiver that we see Willie do as well. Obviously, it's a different discussion when Damien Willemse comes back because he is the 15. Anyway, let's wrap it up. We forgot to do it. Our official predictions for Argentina versus New Zealand. Brett, are you going with Argentina victory by
1?
By 1. World Cup rugby.
No, by 1.
Brevan?
I'm going New Zealand by 5.
I actually think New Zealand might put it together, but I think it's going to be a close game. But then the scoreline wouldn't reflect it. I'm going New Zealand to get it done by 10 points. I just struggle to see how Argentina will do it 2 weekends in a row. If they do it, well done to them. Full credit. I just believe New Zealand has got this one in the bag this time around. And then for our game, Brevan?
I'm going to go box by 9. Okay,
Casual.
Box by 7.
Box by 7. I think our bench is so strong. They'll add 12 points to whatever we on top of them, and I think we will have a decent lead going into it. Even though I've said this is a much weaker team than we had last weekend. I do believe there's a lot of points here for us to get. So I'm going box by 20. Going crazy.
Dang.
Sure. I was borderline calling a draw. So I'm going to say, just because I'm a little bit biased, I'm going to say box by 2.
I think it's going to be an ugly 20-point victory, though. High scoring. Something like 40-20. Something like that. I don't know. I just think there's a ton of points in this game. Anyway, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. We do love and appreciate you guys. And we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.